Jaya Kunja Vihare. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivara Dhare, Jaya Girivara Dhare. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivara Dhare, Jaya Girivara Dhare. Dhare. Yasodhanandana, Jaya Rajanaranjana, Jaya Rajanaranjana. Yasodhanandana, Jaya Rajanaranjana, Jaya Rajanaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare, Jaya Kunja Vihare. Jaya Yamunatira Vanachare, Jaya Kunja Vihare. Jaya Radha Mandava, Jaya Kunja Vihare. Jaya Radha Mandava, Jaya Kunja Vihare. Jai Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Jaya Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Shri Shri Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Shri Shri Gauranitai. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Jaya Radha. Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Go Premanande. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today, I want to first of all tell you thank you for still being around. And we want to look at the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 9. The title of the chapter is The Yoga of the Supreme, Puruṣottam Yoga, very special yoga. So we are looking at text 9. Which we have on the screen, right? Hare Kṛṣṇa. So we try to look at this sloka, then we look at the translator and Srila Prabhupada purports. So first we take this sloka. Śrotraṁ cakṣuḥ spanacha. Rasamagrina evacha adriṣṭhāya cāyaṁ upasevate. I will request you can recite it better. Viṣayān rasanam evacha. Yostam cakṣuḥ. Śrotraṁ cakṣuḥ sparśanam rasanaṁ evacha adhiṣṭhāya viṣayān upasevate. Śrotraṁ cakṣuḥ sparśanam evacha adhiṣṭhāya manaś viṣayān upasevate. Modas śrotraṁ cakṣuḥ sparśanam rasanam evacha adhiṣṭhāya manaś viṣayān upasevate. Śrotraṁ cakṣuḥ sparśanam rasanam evacha adhiṣṭhāya viṣayān upasevate. Śrotra, ears, cakṣuḥ, eyes, śrotram, touch, cha, also, rasanam, tongue, ghrāṇam, smelling power, eva, also, cha, and adhiṣṭhāya, being situated in, manaḥ, mind, cha, also, ayam, he, viṣayān, sense object, upasevate, enjoys. Srila Prabhupada's translation. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains certain type of ears, eyes, tongue, nose, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thought enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Let's say together, the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains certain type of ears, eyes, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thought enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Srila Prabhupada's Purport. In other words, if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the quality of cat and dogs, in his next life he gets a cat or dog body and enjoys. Consciousness is originally pure, like water, but if we mix water with certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure, for the spirit soul is pure. But consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. Real consciousness is Kṛṣṇa consciousness. When therefore one is situated in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. He does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get the body of a cat, dog, hawk, demigod, or one of the many other forms, for there are 8,400,000 species. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Umagyan timiran jasyanjanan janan shlakya cakṣuḥ minitan yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Namam Vishnu padaya Kṛṣṇa pistaya bhutale Śrīmante Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Visisya Sunyabhar Priskatya Tinami. Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gaura Bhaktavind. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa. So it is very interesting what we have today to discuss. So I will request you all, I'm here just to do some seva, some according to Dharma. So please give me your blessings, that I may be able to say things that will benefit me and also get a share from it. Because generally when the speaker speaks from Gita or from any Shastra, he gets more, coherent thoughts, to live according to the expectations of their previous acharyas. So we will try to say a few things as the text have here. But first, I just quickly want to take your mind back to the beginning of this chapter, which Baladev Vidya Bhushan speaks. I gave a little summary of what the whole chapter is all about. Baladev Vidyabhushan said, in the 15th chapter, Lord Kṛṣṇa explained that detachment is the means of cutting samsara. So the Jiva is the Lord Hamsa, and that he is the Supreme Lord endowed with wonderful quality. So the whole theme or essence of this particular chapter is how to cut through the circle of life. That's the vision circle of life, which is old age, birth, disease, and death, etc. And in the beginning of this chapter, we see that first of all, illustration of śrotraṁ tree, the banyan tree is given. And from there, we are gradually coming towards the end of the sloka, which is telling us, which we have today, actually talking about the process of transmigration and reincarnation. What follows the soul as the soul transmigrates from one body to another. So if we look at the text from today, especially in the purport, it will remind us of some certain stories or events which we are all familiar with. I will take the Srila Prabhupada's purport area that will remind us of this particular experience we may have had, come across in the scriptures, which I would like us to, in a little bit, touch on it. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, when therefore one is situated in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. He does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get the body of a cat, dog, hawk, demigods, or one of the many other forms, but there are 8,400,000 species. So I want us to first of all remember from our scriptures who actually have this kind of experience. Somebody who have given up his kingdom, to get purification of consciousness so that he can return back home, back to Godhead. But at the end of the day, the result was different. Can we remember any of that person or any person like that in the scriptures that have this kind of experience, or that have this kind of experience, who has given up everything? But at the end of the day, he was distracted. And the aim of life was not achieved. Instead, he get the body of a lower species. So is there any stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, from other Puranas that we can remember of a particular person that had this kind of experience, who has given up everything just to purify himself, but all of a sudden he gets distracted and somehow he has to come back again with a different body? Sir? Bharat Maharaj. Very nice. Huh? Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very good. It shows that you are here. So this is a so interesting story that we have more, but this one is a practical one that we can actually look into. Jada Bharat has renounced kingdom, beautiful wife, children, citizen, just to purify, to have a better consciousness for higher goal. But, okay. Pardon? Okay, let us first of all look at the event, the antecedent. From the antecedent, then we can look at the consequence, how it all happens. That is the antecedent. So the antecedent here, it has given up just to, achieve a higher consciousness, which will help him achieve, a higher goal. The purpose which we are all here. We are all here to get a purification of consciousness so that we can attain the higher goal. And what is that higher goal? Kṛṣṇa praying. So Jada Bharat has given up all these things that we may consider as shackles that binds everyone here. So he has given up these things to go for purification. So he was outside there, performing devotional service to achieve a higher consciousness. But somehow he got distracted by an event between a lion, perhaps, and a deer. And somehow the deer was having pregnancy, and somehow the lion could not feed on the deer, and the lion went back, but the deer pregnancy fell into water, which Jada Bharat later saw, and he began to fawn, began to train, began to rear this baby deer. Somehow along the other, then the attachment that he has given up the attachment of wife, children, kingdom, etc., automatically develop on the deer. And when this attachment developed, what happened? Jada Bharat began to nurture. All of a sudden, one time he discovered that when he was doing meditation, the deer was no longer within his reach. So the meditation broke, and this has actually become a crisis right from the beginning of the deer. A crisis in the sense that when he started rearing the deer, most of his spiritual practice were all disorganized. He were not having proper concentration, to do what is right in the principle of sadhana. So in the final stage, Jada Bharat could not see the deer within his reach. Then he began to think, where would be the deer? Where are the deer gone to? And there, like that, he ran and began to find the deer. All of a sudden, he fell down, and at the point of about to die, the deer appeared. So because that is what he meditated when he was about to die, he meditated on the deer. And when he gave up the body, he took the body of a deer. So this is the particular message we are to look in this text. What happens if our mind, are not controlled? Like what the Purport says here in the Purport, the senses, they are all grouped around the mind. In other words, the mind is the chief of the senses. So if the mind in particular is not controlled, we might not be able to achieve that goal, because that goal is very essential, and the mind is like obstacle that check us. We want to be fully involved, fully absorbed in the process of sadhana bhakti, but sometimes the mind is very, very agitating. It's very, very troublesome. It's very, very freaky. He wants us to do this. He wants us to do that. At the end of the day, none of these options that he's giving that we are able to achieve. Because so many options, which one do we achieve? These are all the functions of the mind. So the same thing applies. But what do we do Because if we follow the dictates of the mind, automatically the goal can never be achieved. Just like Jal Bharat has given up all that we say that is the obstacles of this material world to achieve a higher goal, but somehow he got bewildered, by the, pulling of the mind. And because of this, he could not achieve the goal. Instead, he takes the body of a deer. So what does it tell us here? Transmigration and reincarnation, they are not mythology. They are real. And if we don't practice how to control the mind, we might also be the victim. So the whole process of devotional service is all about how we can control the mind, that is the mind with his agent, the senses, so that we will be able to achieve that goal. And if we look at the function of the mind, we will actually come to understand that it is really, really important for us to have, a good practice, to make our practice more strong, so that we'll be able to, control, remove that dictate, the strong power of the mind. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to achieve, the aim of life. And the aim of life, which we are all here for, is to achieve Kṛṣṇa prem. And that prem will not be possible if the mind is not controlled. So here, Srila Prabhupada is telling us, we are only having that consciousness. The consciousness is pure. He said, but if we mix water with certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure. For the spirit soul is pure, but consciousness is changed according to the association of material quality. So what we associate with, it has a lot of effect on our consciousness. And that effect is what, changes our views towards the aim of life. For instance, we take again the example of Jal Bharat. What he associates with deer, and that actually, alter his aim of goal. Alter his aim. His aim was to achieve a higher consciousness, but this was altered. Like Prabhupada gave example that if we mix water with certain color, so by mixing up with this deer, his consciousness was altered. And for this reason, he wasn't able to achieve that goal. Instead, he came back to this world again to take the body of a deer. But one thing that was very, paramount was that he could understand the reason that has caused him to take this deer body. Because of it has some previous adhikas, some previous practice was there. But what do we have to take from this text today? It's what Patanjali have given us. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which we call Tribhuvana, he have given 5 states of mind. These 5 states of mind, 2 states, he says, we are actually a state of a positive ID sadhana practice. But 3 states, they are very troublesome. The first state he mentioned is the cakṣuḥ. The first state he mentioned is the cakṣuḥ, which he called as the monkey mind. This first stage is called the monkey mind. If we look at the way the mind disturbs us, it's not different from the monkey we have. The monkey always wants to take at the end of the day, what do we say? Fighting, disturbing, etc. He said this first state of mind is like the monkey mind. That is the mind that is full with so many disturbances. So if we who stays in Vrindavan here, we could have understanding of how the activities of monking is. So the activities of monking is not different from the way our mind acts. So this is the first state of mind which Patanjali mentioned, that somebody with this kind of mind, it is very difficult for him to have a focus. Then he mentioned the second one, which is called Muda, the donkey mind. Most of us who have come across donkey, we see how donkey acts. Donkey is always, what I call, we see a lot of them, they're always in agitated mood. Agitated mood and all kind of mood you can see in donkey. So the same thing applied is a mind that is unstable. So the third one he mentioned is the butterfly mind. The butterfly mind is still a mind that is unstable. Butterfly, we see the butterfly is always patching from here, from there, from here, from there. So these three aspects of mind is all in us. The first is the monkey mind, which at the time we want to concentrate, that is the time a lot of thoughts will begin to, pull in our mind. Different thoughts. We've not done this, we've not done that, we've not done this. So different thoughts begin to pull in our minds. So with this kind of state, to concentrate is very difficult. Especially when we want to begin to chant Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So when this thought comes often, so like, how do we concentrate, on this mantra? It becomes very difficult. So we see how the monkey is, they are very disturbing. So the same thing applies when these different thoughts come to our mind. To achieve that aim of concentration is difficult. So the second one also is also very, agitated one, the donkey mind and the butterfly mind. But in all these three different stages of mind, which Patanjali mentioned, there is still hope, and the hope is the two other minds. And these other two aspects of mind is all the aim of what we are practicing here. We are practicing on how to, stable the mind. Just like Bhagavad Gita said, the mind is our worst enemy, at the same time, our best friend. The mind is our best friend when we follow the process that the Acharya have designed. When we follow the process the Acharya has designed, we begin from chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This has to begin in the morning hours. So this chanting, if it begins in the morning hours, we will be able to handle, trap the mind. But if it is not being, pursued at that hour of the day, it might be difficult, to really get track of the mind. Because the mind actually needs an intense engagement. And the process of devotional service is designed in such a way that it engages the mind's agitation. Because if the mind is not engaged, automatically our consciousness will be altered. Just like Prabhupada mentioned, that the consciousness, the living entity by nature is pure. But when the mind associates with different elements, then he gets, contaminated with these different elements. So the remedy for us is to stick to the process of what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Srila Prabhupada has given us, a dynamic process, a process that will actually help us to, take us away from this charcoal of this material world and help us to achieve the aim of life. And that process begins from the chanting of the Maha Mantra. We chant with a proper, intention. First of all, we begin our morning chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then what happens? Then we'll see the vision of the Lord. The vision of the Lord helps us to have this positive concentration. We see the vision of the Lord, and at the later part of the day, we are able to render some menial service for the Lord. And we take some prasad and hear from the Holy Scriptures. Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, as we are hearing now, these all have a dynamic purification, a dynamic effect that will help us to actually have a proper mindset to be able to, go back home. So the whole design that we have enriched from our previous acharya is to get us fixed up so that at the end of the day